bad metaphor in the metaphorical sense. Don't try to make these metaphors too specific. You know, metaphors are things that describe something, often a feeling or something that's going on, and take it at that level. Don't try to then make it physical or make it too detailed. You know, if you hear a poet say, and her eyes were as deep as the deep blue sea, don't say, well, what sea was that? Seas I know are either green or brown, you know, or clear. And how deep was it? You know, you get deep enough and it gets dark and it goes black and there isn't any blue there at all. So it was really in the deep blue sea. It probably wasn't blue. You know, you can just go on and on and on, beat the metaphor to death, but that's not the point. You just confuse yourself and end up all wadded up in your intellect. You just have to let that go. Okay, ascended masters, all right. People in the know don't live here anymore, helping us out. Yeah, all right, that's true, but don't feed it too much specificity or you'll just end up, you know, tripping yourself up, would be my suggestion. Gravity. Gravity is just a part of the rule set. Gravity is part of the rule set. What can we say about that? You know, the rule set is the way this reality started is it started because the larger conscious system needed a reality that had consequences that mattered, a place where you could make choices and the choices count. The choices have consequences and serious consequences, not just a big chat room where pieces of conscious chat with each other all the time and there's no consequences. You don't grow up very fast there. You needed a place that has consequences, a place where you make real choices that affect yourself and others, things that you can grow up with or grow down with if you make poor choices. So that's why the reality is here. And nobody programmed it. It was started with initial conditions. That's that little ball of plasma. It was just the initial conditions in the program, and you know, high temperature, high pressure plasma. And when you hit the run button, the plasma starts to change according to the rule set. Gravity's part of that rule set. There's a lot of other things in that rule set. Scientists try to discover the rules. That's what scientists do. They discover little nuggets in the rule set. Say, this is the way this place works. See, this always works this way. It's a rule set, part of our rules. So that's what science is. It's digging out the rules in the rule set. So the rule set is all of the science, even the science that we don't know yet, that this reality is then evolving with. So the reality evolves and under the rule set and just becomes whatever it becomes. Okay, so it's an evolved reality. And when the evolved when the characters in it evolve in this simulation to have interesting choices, then consciousness can go play one of those characters. You're a consciousness. You're not the body. The body is just an evolved, what do we call it? Avatar. Okay, so you're consciousness. Don't confuse yourself with the body. Gravity is just a part of the rule set. There are no fields. You know, we talk about the gravitational field, the electric field, the magnetic field. None of those really exist. They're mathematical abstractions. There are no fields. Okay, yes, okay, I'm speaking and my speaking creates a little electrical signal here in this mic, which runs up and comes down this wire and goes on and so on. And it gets, if I'm saying my computer is wireless, it goes out on an electric magnetic field, right, and goes to the computer. There are no fields. There's just information and there's rules. So if I have a charge here and a positive charge and another positive charge here, and I'm holding them both there, and I'm going to let this one go, what's it going to do? It's going to move away because the two positives repel each other. But it's not because there's a magnetic field between them. It's because there's a rule that says when you have two charges, one of them is going to move away with the force, charge 1 times charge 2, divided by the square of the distance between them. It's a rule. It's just information. You don't need a field. Physicists made up fields to make it sound like it was something physical going on, but there really are no fields. If you think about it, how much does a field weigh? How many fields can you get in a bottle? You know, physical things have weight. They have You know, they take up space. So you have something that you can't see, you can't hear, you can't smell, doesn't seem to take up any space. Yet we're supposed to say that it's real and physical. It doesn't meet any of the rules for physical. So it is really just a mathematical contrivance. We have the rule set, and this rule set works the way it works, and we can make up fields as if there were a field. And that helps us understand and use the rule set. It's a handy thing for us, but there are none of those things. So gravity is just like that. You know, about 2 years ago, the physicists thought they saw a gravity wave. They didn't measure a gravity wave. There's no such thing as a gravity wave. They measured a force. Okay, they measured a force. A force was there, and suddenly it wasn't. There was a change in the force, right? Sounds like Luke, you know, or Obi-Wan. You know, there was a change in the force, and they measured that change in the force. That's what they measured. Force is a real thing. Yes, forces are real. I mean, real in this virtual reality. It's rendered as a real thing. But you know, fields are not actually real. And when the first physicists came up with fields, the rest of the physicists thought it was kind of a cheap trick, because it was just a mathematical thing that they called a field, and then everybody pretended that it was physical. But you don't need it to be physical. It's just an extra thing, you know, that isn't necessary. So gravity is just a part of the rule set. That's why it works the way it works. What else did you have on your list? My memory's kind of fading after gravity. What else did you have there on your list?
I think the last thing that I had on there was like the 3 kind acts for like hacking the being it, like your perception of like, how do we get into the being it a little bit quicker?
Okay, well, one of the things, and you've kind of talked around it, and then you talked around it like go be kind, do 3 kind things. Of course, if you tell people about it and brag about it, then it's all in your ego. But you can do it and keep it in your intellect. You can say, well, I'm going to do 3 kind things. Okay, look around. Okay, that would be kind. I'll go do that. Okay, number 1, number 2, number 3. And if it all stays in your intellect, then there's really no gain other than you've helped people out. You've done something kind, and that's nice. It's a gain for them, but it's a very minor gain for you if it stays in your intellect. But the trick is that if you repeat things through repetition, things will sink from your intellect into your being level. That's why when you do an affirmation, you know, I'm going to get rid of my fear and take responsibility for my life, and you write that on your refrigerator and you repeat it, you know, 100 times every day. Well, if you look at that intellectually, you'll say, well, that's silly. You know, reading a sentence.
Is that your will not destroy itself by nuclear annihilation. You, as a society, even if it is a collective unconscious recognition, have already decided that you are not going to destroy yourself by nuclear annihilation. You may still be posturing. You may still be many accelerations of violence on the surface of your world, but in a sense you are now bringing all these things and getting them out of your system up to the surface, letting them be open so that each and every one of you at this time can decide, is this how we want our world to be, or do we prefer it to be another way? Recognize also at this time, and we can tell you this now only because you have already as a society decided that you will not destroy yourselves through nuclear means. It is your world. You may do with it as you wish. We cannot interfere. That would be contrary to our belief systems. However, you are therefore allowed to do what you will with your world. You may even utterly destroy it if you wish, but not through a methodology that will affect more than your own world. Nuclear annihilation would tear through the dimensional fabrics of space and time and affect many of the alternate parallel universes to which you are attached. And therefore, as your government is actually already well aware of, your world would never have been allowed to wage nuclear war. And your government has been given many demonstrations over the course of various years that the different societies in the association of worlds of which we are a part would in this way simply create an ineffective operation of your war machinery should it have come down to the point where you decided to activate that idea. These demonstrations have been given, and your governments are very well aware of our indifference and know beyond a shadow of a doubt that nuclear war is not now. So we can tell you this now, that you have already yourselves decided not to wage that war. It would not be in anyone's interest at this point.
Are we also able to travel just spiritually?
Oh yes, understand this is all quote-unquote spiritual travel anyway. The idea of spaceship or your own automobiles or trains or planes are all simply extensions of the level of awareness your consciousness has created for itself to exist within. We utilize the idea of spacecraft still because it allows us to facilitate interaction with many societies such as yours more easily, with things you can identify with more strongly. Although our society is going through its own transformation, and we are moving from the idea of physicality into non-physicality, even as you are going from the type of physicality you exist within now to a more rarefied and more accelerated type of physicality yourselves.
Sean, I have a follow-on question, if I may, to the point that was made earlier about not destroying the planet. When we're talking about living your dreams, I'm sure every single individual, regardless of the political system that they're in, really deep down inside feels that they want peace, they want harmony, they want some sense of grounded belongingness. And I'm wondering what we can do as individuals to jointly and individuals create that dream of peace and harmony, not in some airy-fairy sense, because when people that's a bunch of baloney, we have to have weapons, we have to have this, we have to have that. And yet, on the other hand, I think if we were to place the same assets, shall we say, the same resources that are going into weapons research and things of this nature, into upgrading our ability to get along with each other, sharing positive technology, it would work out. What can we do? Belief that you are already an aspect of universal energy means you know you are in control. Forcing an idea upon someone else means you believe you are out of control. And then you have a tendency to believe you are going, as you say, down the tubes and wish to take as many individuals with you as you can because you do not want to be alone, which the belief in lack of power allows you to feel as if you are alone. You are not alone. None of you are alone. You are upon your own world, together as a family. Literally, you are connected to every other world, every other dimensional plane within creation. Now, in your terminology, pragmatically speaking, if you will but allow yourselves to know that you can do the things in your life that attract you, that you desire, that excite you the most with integrity, knowing you do not have to hurt anyone else or yourself in order to create that reality, you will, I guarantee it, 100%, see the differences occurring. You will know. You do not have to fear anyone else because the vibration you are will be the reality you experience. Remember this, it is simple physics, simple mechanics. No circumstance and no situation has built-in meaning. They are neutral.
From elsewhere to save us from ourselves. The Earth is the only world known so far to harbor life. There is nowhere else, at least in the near future, to which our species could migrate. Visit? Yes. Settle? Not yet. Like it or not, for the moment, the Earth is where we make our stand. It has been said that astronomy is a humbling and character-building experience. There is perhaps no better demonstration of the folly of human conceits than this distant image of our tiny world. To me, it underscores our responsibility to deal more kindly with one another and to preserve and cherish from elsewhere to save us from ourselves. The Earth is the only world known so far to harbor life. There is nowhere else. In it, everyone you love, everyone in it, everyone